Welcome to the Business Intelligence Revolution. My name is Stevens Oliveros. I welcome all of you to this RCM software webinar. I will be introducing the news of the BI4Web version 22 and how they help to meet, in a revolutionary way, the business intelligence needs of companies. Before getting started, I want to motivate all of you to share this webinar with your contacts on social media and send us the questions you might have along this streaming through YouTube, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Our team will be very attentive to answer all of your questions. Let's start with some data about the challenges companies are dealing with in matters related to business intelligence. According to the study Strategies for Business Adoption, Usage, and Value by the firm Bark and Eckerson Group, some of the main barriers to BI adoptions are lack of proper training, the option selected for the majority, the 50% of voters. It usually leads to underutilization tools or dropping them for options like Excel. This scenario means going back to self-service with no data governance. At this point, the same study recommends taking care of users' needs first and establishing an effective data governance program. It recommends choosing tools with the perfect match to the roles of your users. In second place is the lack of data quality, with 41% votes. It results in no trust in data, which affects all business data processes. It tends to happen when there are many silos and an inefficient data governance program. Therefore, suppressing silos from data company structure is a must, along with the commitment to keeping data quality at all costs. This way, you will guarantee accessibility and availability of data. In third place is a well-known barrier with 36% of votes, the budget. The RCM software proposal with BI4Web is to help companies to overcome challenges with a tool with upsides like a short learning curve, which means training easier for users and provides a global view of data thanks to its capacity to connect to all data sources in the company. This last point helps to build trust in data. Besides that, it proposes an innovative vision that provides the necessary freedom for final users to decide, with no negative impact on data governance, a risk common in self-service business intelligence tools. To go further in the vision behind BI4Web, I would like to introduce Jesus Serrano, the RCM software founder. Welcome, Jesus.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, especially to those who are on the other side of the sea. I am Jesus Serrano. I'd like to develop a point Stevens mentioned about the structural risk of self-service in business intelligence. First, I want you to see the problem from two different points of view for companies with an IT department, and the second for companies with no technical staff in their teams. These last obtain information and know-how from software companies. For the first one, I have to say IT departments are absorbed by maintenance tasks. It means they spend a lot of time solving users' requests, keeping track of security copies, solving communication issues, updating Windows, antivirus, and ERP, working on continuous improvements, and even setting up personal colleagues' mobiles. Too much. And that's why we jump to the conclusion it must be created and controlled by the user who needs the data. At first sight, it is the proper thought. The problems appear when the companies need a team with a background such as data management skills, knowledge of data sources, databases, and their concept, and the way they interact with the different actions incorporated in management software, ARP, CRM, BPM, etc. Also, they need to know at least SQL language, scripting, or the language of the BI developer and learn whether the BI needs a data warehouse or not. Long story short, of all it becomes request for training to the IT department, which tends to add more work for the IT department. But that is not enough, because it is crucial to prevent users from creating dashboards that only meet their criteria and not the company. Something easy to find in self-service business intelligence tools. Besides that, it turns into an impossible mission when sharing dashboards with colleagues with the proper security level. Therefore, the natural step is to go to business intelligence software so users can use what they has been developed by other users with security guarantees. However, this usually means redoing the development because self-service options are compatible with the business ones, even if the software brand is the same. Something that marketing and sales department might consider an advantage, but it doesn't help at all. The top risk is the existence of multiple versions of the same information, originating in the vision, interest, or need of different self-service users. That makes data governance unmanageable. Not to mention when companies work with high volumes of data because self-service software can't handle millions of records databases. To sum up, the IT department increases its workload because of its duty to train other teams to work with self-service software. In the second phase, it becomes imperative to change the enterprise business intelligence software. This last step might be easy for some small companies since their staff is not that numerous, so they can order it from a software provider or go in-house development. This last option keeps the same risk I mentioned beforehand. At RCM, we are committed to giving users the freedom they need to get most out of business intelligence software. With no threats to data governance with the BI4Web suite. How do we do it? Well, we distribute tasks. We think that IT department should make better use of its time by creating data extractions and views instead of supporting all the training processes of self-service BI business intelligence in the company. As we will see later, the development process is agile and helps to provide homogeneous, verified, transversal, corporate, and aligned with the company policy data. In addition, employees who know the data with structure create SQL. We give users the freedom to view, customize, and share data with BI4Web Viewer, as we will show you later. With this, we aim to provide business intelligence software aligned with the current times. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you very much, Jesus, for sharing the vision behind the product with us in this webinar. To continue, I am giving the floor to Jesus Serrano, CEO of RCM Software.
Hello, welcome everyone. Hello, Stevens, and welcome especially to the people from Latin America who are watching us here in Spain too.
Good, Jesus. We already have seen the vision behind BI4Web, but I would like you to tell us what the purpose of the version 22 is.
The goal of BI4Web version 22 is to offer more functionalities, improve the user experience with a brand new appearance and notable improvement in speed and performance. Those who have used previous versions will notice versions 22 have many features redesigned to ease day-to-day tasks. So, what you can expect from the update is the consolidation of the BI4Web as a world-class BI tool that provides users with the most advanced technology, the most extensive number of data visualization options, and above all, innovative solutions to the challenges of the current context. Now that we have seen the vision of BI4Web and the goal of this update, we are ready to know the news.
Well, the first novelty is that the visualization can be managed autonomously by the viewer, such as choosing the graph, changing the orientation, or hiding the series. With the renewed interface, it will be easier to find the functionalities, and you will enjoy a much more fluid experience. After making the necessary changes, they can also create a bookmark so that you can refer to it later or share it via email with your coworkers.
Editing graphical representation live. One of the highlights of the update is the editing of live graphics. This way, it will not longer be necessary to go to the viewer to check the changes made are displayed correctly. Likewise, it facilitates the choice of the graphic in the most extensive library of native graphics representations in the market. All of this represents significant time saving for the user who have the task of creating dashboards.
We reduce memory consumption and increase concurrency. In this version, we reduce the use of RAM consumption of the BI server to a minimum, unlike the market trend of consuming more hardware. This new version is committed to reducing consumption compared to previous version. In this sense, we have modified how BI4Web resolves requests, allowing it to support more simultaneously connections with the same hardware. In this way, we reduce waiting times for the end users.
The new tooltips offer endless possibilities because they support everything from multimedia elements to JavaScript. As we can see in the example, it is possible to make the information easier to read by adding a photo of the product in the ranking of the best sellers or one of the sellers of the sales team ranking. Likewise, it is possible to replace the amounts in numbers with their corresponding name in multiple languages. Additionally, you can customize month names. For example, instead of naming the month of August as such, you name it a vacation. This customization is also available in multiple languages. This improvement consolidates the RCM vision for BI, which allows the use of the same dashboard for multiple users, languages, and companies. It makes the creation and management of dashboards much easier and more efficient.
The map control can represent from geographic maps to custom maps. For example, a production plant map. You only need an SVG file to work with custom maps. In this example, you will be able to visualize the number of units produced in a production plant for each machine, or the failures in real time that these machines present.
This well-known control launches a functionality that allows you to add values to each argument and thus add more information when viewing the data using this graph.
In this new version, we also add new connectors to our numerous family of connectors. Among them are Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and Twitter ads. With this development, we see how we are moving towards giving more and more options to our customers so they can get more of data. But in addition to telling you this news, we want to show you some of the features that represent an enormous change when using BI4Web through Demos. For this, I invite my colleague Abel Cano, CTO of RCM Software. Welcome, Abel. What are we going to see today?
Hello. Several demos. Let me unlock the PC and share the screen. Start creating a simple but complete dashboard from scratch with 4 controls, input parameters, and links. As the first step, create a new document and call it Demo, and as usual, indicate the distribution of components or controls with our HTML editor. It is not necessary to follow any specific order for the distribution. Continue by dragging the control you want to the column area and create it with its corresponding identifier and description. Go on and define the parameters the control will receive, in this case, the year. Define the SQL sentence for the main needle that represents the actual value. In my case, I will copy the SQL sentences from the auxiliary screen. When creating or modifying the SQL, it is necessary to update the component representation in the designer. Now, define an SQL sentence for the minimum and the maximum value of the KPI. As in the previous versions, you can set them as discrete values or with a new SQL sentence that must return the minimum and maximum values to represent. Define the colors you will use in the component's KPI zones to indicate if values are in the optimal range. In my case, I will use 3 colors and assign them the minimum and maximum for each zone with discrete values. In this version, you can define values with an SQL statement and as many color zones as you need. In the previous versions, the 3 zones came by default. It was not possible to add more. Next, assign the target value to the needle. In this version, you can set as many target needles as needed. Click Update. We are finally in the stage of formatting the main label. Also, define the angle that will cover the minimum and maximum values of the graph. And that's it. Save your progress. Now, add a chart type control, proceeding in the same way as before. First, incorporate the SQL statement that will deliver the data from the necessary data sources or sources. As before, I copy it from the auxiliary screen. You can see the information from the SQL at the bottom of the screen. Link the data of the SQL with the properties of the chart. Define the necessary strings and assign them the just created argument and value columns. At this point, you can see a graphic on the screen and proceed to activate and define the personalization properties you want. like, for example, the color palette. Later, I will show more properties of the chart control. With this chart, you have a view of sales per year that will serve as a filter or selection for other components. Afterward, proceed in the same way as before to incorporate a donut diagram with the sales made in each country. The only difference with the previous one is proceeding to create a link field where you will receive the control, the selected year, and then changing the type of graph from chart to donut. The last component of this demo is the grid type. With it, you will see the values of the previous control grouped by country. Proceed as before. Create a component, add the input parameter where the selected year will come from, and load the SQL statement. Synchronize the SQL columns with the control. The list will appear in the preview. Next, assign properties to the view and add calculation fields, total groupings, indicators, or whatever you want. In the HTML part of each control, you can add text, icons, conditional panels, etc. Remember that we can define as many lines as necessary in the document and up to 12 columns per line to comply with the responsive web standard. As the last step, add the title of the document through the HTML editor, but this time for the entire document, and move the components at your will from one area to another to find an optimal representation. Remember, by clicking on the tablet and mobile icons, you can set custom views for these devices. By default, the editor creates them automatically. Likewise, we inform you that some controls, such as the grid or the linear gauge, will sometimes require the height to be specified. You can find the height to the right of the HTML editor in Style. I will wait until it is erased. OK. Good. Once all the controls or components have been made, proceed to link them together and indicate the values that must be passed from one controller to another. If necessary, this same process serves to link the different analytical documents with each other. The chart with the value per year will deliver the value to the donut chart. Go to Chart by Years and in the Links tab, select between controls and it will present us with the value expected by the donut component. Reference it to the column of the targeted SQL or to the variables the component has. To link the values of the donut and the grid with the scale KPI, we will proceed in the same way, but from the component that will deliver the data, the chart donut. Link twice, once for each control that you want to link. With this, you are done with the document. Incorporate the analysis document into the desired role and the user's role. In case it wasn't built in, which in this case it isn't. Well, now you can go to BI4Web V to see the result. No compilations are needed. Well, BI4Web interprets what we just did in real time in the designer.
How interesting, Ariel. What is it you like the most about the new version?
I would say the fact that vectorial graphics are animated by default.
What if I need them not to be animated?
Well, you can change it.
Great! What is the next thing we are about to see?
We will improve the dashboard we just built by adding interactive tooltips to the controls. Enter the chart control we created previously and access the series to open the series created in the previous demo. Click on the point labels and select the visibility to set it to yes. Point labels will automatically appear at the top. We can change it between outside and inside, although I like it better outside. The next thing to do is to format the value of the dotted label, putting 2 decimal places. Confirm the changes and you are ready to edit the tooltip. Let's start with a simple tooltip. Make the year and the argument field bold. Then put a break that is the next line. Make the sales bold too. In this case, the value comes previously formatted by the format string. Let's copy everything to the clipboard for later use. It has already appeared. Go to Tooltips and enable them, but not before placing the same format string that was previously put in the tooltip design. Paste what we had copied in the previous section to get the same representation of the tooltip as in the dotted label. As soon as it is enabled, it is visible. Accept and save the changes. Continue by opening the donut control. Accept the query parameters. And as you can see, there is absolutely nothing, there is no tooltip. Open the series and in the label, put the visibility property back to yes. Now, something has appeared. If you look closely, you will notice you can change the location of the label too. Although my favorite representation is in columns, I prefer to enable the lines with a certain thickness, because this way the values do not overlap as much and it gives a much cleaner view. As follows, set the format properties 2 decimals with the $sign. Accept. And as expected, the countries are listed by their code. But don't worry, there is a way to place country names at the top. Modify your SQL statement to add an extra column. We are going to add an extra column which we will obtain from an inner join with the country region table. Wait a minute. Where equals country. Okay, we already have it. Save your progress and update to see the new column you just added. Go to series and notice there's a column called label column. This column is a column that you can use for wherever you want. In this case, I am going to use it to put the descriptive names. Go to the tooltip designer and we go to put the point tag, which is the extra tag column. Let me make it bold. Accept, and there you go. Next, enable the tooltip and go to Properties so you can make it look better by giving it some style. Create a span of indigo color for countries from the point tag previously created and a line at the end. Next line and total sales. Total sales also in bold come from value. Alright, let's see how it goes. Well, it's not bad, but it's a common result. What else can we improve here? Let's go back and add a div with a fixed width size. Let's say 180 pixels. If you want to go further, add an IMG tag with a certain margin, both on the left and the right, and a predetermined fixed height. Let's say 64. It will scale. The origin will be a root that we have on our computer, in this case in localhost 100. That leads to an SVG file whose name is the argument, the value of the argument. Add 2 blank lines and a flag has come out. We already have an image. Let me take it from the clipboard and ace the test, the famous interactivity of JavaScript. We can add styles, external calls, buttons, and scripts. In this case, this is an example that I have previously built, which will show us a conversion calculator, completely direct in JavaScript. And that will work perfectly in BI4Web V.
So this is what Jesus taught us in the news on the viewer part?
Right, this is how it is made, but in BI4Web Studio. The first thing to do is create a new document and call it map. Once it is created, add a map type control. Okay, let's adjust the columns and add the control. Okay? Let's say sales map. Accept and go to the properties to open the designer. Okay, the first thing to do is select the correct map template. Let's find the map of Spain with its provinces and choose a color palette. For example, we can go for the green. The next step is adding the SQL query. I have it ready, but this time it will be on the Norwin table, on the Norwin database. And well, as you can see in the orders table, if we select the first results, the name of the city is already there. We have also added some links to Google Maps. Later, you will see why. Accept clicking on yes. Select as value the amount and as argument the name of the city, well, the city code. As you can see, there are new painting algorithms, for example, the simple discrete and the uniform color scale. In the case of the simple discrete, the only thing you have to select for each region is a color from the palette. But the one that is interesting for us is the uniform color scale, because it is a heat map alike and paints the provinces that have a higher value in the darker color. The next thing to do is to show the legend. As you can see, the map code appears just like the previous times, but now you can change the code for the names of cities thanks to the text field legend. It is a brand new functionality. We're also going to, let's see if I can find it, change the format string to put the values with only 2 decimal places and in dollars, because the values are in dollars. Good. The next thing we will do is prepare the tooltip. Hold on, I'm going to look for it on the other screen. Perfect. I already have it on the clipboard. Access Tooltips, the template to access the tooltip designer, and start with a very basic tooltip. Place the name first, followed by a column, and the value of the cell orders. Enable the tooltip by clicking Accept on the box. As you can see, the tooltips already are visible, with the name of the city and the value. What else can we do? We can add up the complexity by putting an iframe with a Google link. What happened here? It does not recognize the HTML. How can we solve it? Enabling the HTML property. Well, the tooltips are working now, but we can improve the margins. Let's put, for example, a rounding of 4 and a radius of curvature of 8. Right. Now it looks perfect. And I think this is it. Before I forget it, we have also modified the zoom properties, and now the zoom has a smooth scrolling and also supports rotation. We hope you enjoy a lot with the new features that we have included in this version of the control. Well, demos have come to an end. It is the perfect time to take a short walk through BI4Web Viewer, so we can check if any aesthetic retouching is necessary for the analysis documents we just created. Remember, you can change the initial image at any time from BI4Web Studio. Every user can access the list of their assigned roles and the analysis documents within those roles. If we execute the demo document, which we have made previously, we will be able to see the dashboard with its 4 controls. Users can zoom the component, change the characteristics of the graphic representation, export it to other formats, and audit the data received from the SQL query. The components we defined are a bar chart per year, a donut chart per country within the year, a scaled KPI with the objective of the country and its actual value, and the detail of the selected country with every client and billing. The map analysis document activates the zones that have received data from the SQL. Any component can appear in the tooltip, in this case, a Google Map link. You can link to another analysis document that provides more detail, passing information from one document to another. In addition, users can generate a view of the document as a favorite bookmark, as a query with the customizations made to the document. You can create those views from any document and send the link to another user by email, so the other user can continue browsing. You can select from a static image to an automatic refresh with settable updating rates. Another option is to export the whole image document and print it with an external program. Customization options include changing the BI4Web viewer theme, passwords, and language. And this was the demo.
Thank you very much, Abel. I am sure users will find many benefits with the update and with the demos you share with us. But after seeing the advantages of the new version, I wonder, what do the updates hold for us, Abel?
Well, in the next few weeks, we will publish a release for those who need to switch from version 20 to 22, just like we have done in previous versions. But the news doesn't end here. Version 22.1 will enable 32-bit ODBC and OLEDB connectors to work on a 64-bit platform, breaking the 2 GB RAM limit imposed by 32-bit. This way, we will be providing support even to old controllers and add new controllers such as geopositioning, Sankey control, and iframe.
Well, those are a lot of things. And for the next year, what do you have prepared?
You are going too ahead. Everything depends on the needs we detect you have, but we already have some ideas for version 23. For example, we will add new controls, a graph diagram, a Gantt diagram, and a calendar. We will also refactor the data source repository to adapt to the new selectors and the natural language, coming in the next versions. We will incorporate the option to create projects using databases different from SQL servers. We will release a version of BI4Web Viewer compatible with Linux platform, better integration with Datagate, and well, more customizations of controls for end users.
Well, after seeing so many things, I'd like to know, what are you going to be working on in the long term?
Natural language data extraction for end users and a graphical SQL designer. We have listened to your request, and we are aware that many people have problems when writing SQL queries, partly because each database engine has a different SQL dialect. The solution we think of is to define them visually without writing SQL code, further reducing the learning curve of the tool.
Well, thank you very much, Aurel. We have finally reached the questions and answers section. Our team has been reading very carefully the questions you have been sending through chat, Twitter, and our LinkedIn account to answer them all at this time. Now I will pass on to my colleagues who are in another room to answer all these questions. Not with the first thanking you for the connecting to this webinar, the one that I hope has been to your total liking, and remind you that it will be available on our YouTube channel, so that you can see it again or share it with your contacts. Also remind you that this webinar is available in Spanish. Until next time, and have a happy afternoon. Thank you for your attention.